Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to talk briefly about why I made the switch to a whole food plant-based diet. So for those of you who know me, know that in my life I've had more than some ups and downs with my weight, and generally, I guess a little brief history. I started working out 2 months before my 16th birthday, and I joined a gym for the first time. I lost a lot of weight. I was always like a chubby kid, but not like morbidly obese or obese. I was just kind of chunky. And then I grew up into a plump adult, a plump teenager who then lost weight, and I was in fairly decent shape going into college. And then after a couple of years in school, I started to put weight on. And then kind of, I didn't yo-yo diet per se, but I yo-yo fluctuated with my weight. And that's just how it went. So I lost weight, I gained it back, I lost weight, I gained it back. And I really understood the concept of exercise and nutrition, but I kind of wasn't dealing with the reasons why I was eating the way that I was, or any of those things. So I've learned those in my later, more, I won't say mature, that makes me sound old, in my wiser and more experienced years doing this, that it's, besides diet and besides your proper nutrition, I don't like to use the word diet, but diet is just a word. Doesn't mean that I'm on a diet or I do fad diets or any of that. Proper nutrition and exercise are very important, but the mental aspect of weight loss is extremely important, and dealing with what's going on up here is just as important as what's going in your mouth. Just saying. So, by the way, you're gonna hear some background noise. There's construction going on in the house next door. My window is open because it's hot, and the fan is blowing on me because it's hot, and the air conditioner is not on. So that's all the background noise. I wish I could say it's sound effects, or I'm doing it for that fan effect, but I'm not. So anyway, so the reason why I went to a plant-based diet, you all know that if you followed my journey on YouTube, you know that I started December 2017, and I went to a weight management doctor, and he gave me 2 pieces of paper and basically gave me an outline of what I need to be doing on a daily basis as far as my nutrition goes, and the rest was history from there. I did not begin exercising until about, so I started December of 2017. First time I started actually moving and walking was probably at the end of February of 2018, and then I really became active after joining a gym again, signing up for a gym membership in March of 2018, which is when I was really able to start moving again. That's just the truth. That's how big I had gotten, to the point where I wasn't even able to put sneakers on comfortably, because not the physical act of putting sneakers on, which was difficult too, but actually putting my feet in sneakers felt like my feet were going to explode. That's how big and swollen and puffy I had gotten, and that's just the truth. I wasn't able to do a lot of things, and the reason I joined the gym was because of their swimming pool, and I always knew how to swim. I started swimming when I was a kid, before kindergarten. I was lucky enough to get lessons when I was a child, and it really benefited me now as an adult. 1, because it's really beneficial to know how to swim, but 2, because that was my main form of exercise for a long time. Because of how much pressure and weight was on my joints and my bones, it was really the safest option for me. Walking, of course, it's good too, but again, the sneaker issue, and the water just makes you feel weightless, and I love the water. I love swimming, and I really believe in finding what you love to do and doing it. If you hate doing a spin class, or if you hate the treadmill, or if you hate the elliptical, the chances are you might not continue to do it forever, for for your lifelong exercise routine. And the truth is, your exercise routine and your nutrition really does have to be lifelong in order to maintain the results. It's like anything else. If you want it to be maintained, you have to keep it up. If you want to maintain a house, you have to constantly do the repairs. You have to constantly maintain it. The same with our bodies. Our bodies are no different. They require maintenance, and that's really the only way. I've learned that very, very much the hard way, and now that I found the things that I love with my exercise routine and with my nutrition, it's not a chore anymore. It starts off as feeling like a chore anytime you're changing a habit, or trying to modify your lifestyle. It's going to be difficult in the beginning, but it's worth it. You can do it, and it's possible, and anything's possible. Again, I chose to go whole food plant-based because of the way I started to feel eating those foods. I'm not saying that you cannot lose weight or be healthy in any other way or with any other nutrition plan, diet, whatever. This is just what I chose. In the past, I think it was in 2016 or 17, probably 16. There was one month, I think it was February. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted, tried to go vegan for a month in February of that year. But what I was not educated on being on a proper healthy vegan diet, and I certainly did not know what I was doing. So I started with eating, what a vegan diet is, no animal products or animal byproducts. So I went to the grocery store, I bought every processed vegan product on the market, and I ate that for I think 2 or 3 weeks, probably. I think February is a shorter month, so I think I made it through the month, and I gained weight after that month, and I stopped and I hated it. And I even posted that it wasn't for me or whatever, but I wasn't educated on what a proper healthy vegan diet is. Now, fast forward a few years, when I went to this weight management doctor, he does not advertise going vegan or anything like that. He gave me 2 sheets of paper, which I have gone over with you guys before, but I will just show you again. I have it in my hand. Hold on. Okay, so this is, I'm going to just put it right in front of the screen here. This is the piece of paper here. It's not really clear and the fan's blowing, but it's an outline of what your day-to-day plate should look like. And then here he lists, I'm just gonna go over it with you. So basically my plate would be a quarter protein. So if my plate's divided into 3, half of the plate is non-starchy vegetables, the other quarter of the plate is whole grains / starchy vegetables, and then another quarter of the plate is protein. So under protein, he does list everything from animal protein to plant-based protein, and he has a list here of worst to best protein, and on the bottom is red meat, processed meat, deli meat as the worst possible sources of protein, which is not advisable for a healthy diet, as considering saturated fat, cholesterol, and all those things. You have to weigh the benefits versus what other things are in those foods. So then one step up from that is chicken, turkey, eggs, lean pork. One step up from that is fish and seafood. And then the best source of proteins listed here are tempeh, tofu, and tempeh being listed as better than tofu. Tempeh is a sprouted soybean type of protein that's mixed with some grains, Trader Joe's sells a 3-grain tempeh. Tempeh is a less processed version of soy protein. Tofu is a little bit more processed, but still good for you. Chickpeas, soybeans, edamame, split peas is on this list, beans, lentils, all those things. So all legumes and all that is on here. And then as far as vegetables, all vegetables under the sun are good. The only vegetables he had me avoid were white potatoes. And then as far as your starchy vegetable options or whole grains, he has listed here corn, peas, winter squash, sweet potato, yucca, plantains, quinoa, oatmeal, steel cut, No cold cereals. I'm sorry to disappoint you. No granola. That's not healthy. None of that stuff. It's filled with sugar and not much fiber. So avoid cold cereals if you can. Sugary things. Barley, farro, buckwheat, and millet is on here. So generally speaking, that plate looks the same for breakfast and for lunch, and then at dinner time you would kind of avoid the starchy vegetable portion and the grain portion for dinner. But any other meal, any other time of day, it's fine. These are kind of like the general guidelines. If you want me to go into details or if you have any specific questions, by all means feel free to reach out to me on here through a comment, or I'll put my Instagram for you to reach out to me there. To ask me any questions on what particular plan I follow. The reason I decided to go plant-based, I was following the diet that I just went over with you in December when I started the program, and I did and the one thing that's important to tell you, hold on one second, it's on the floor now. So the list of no's are very important. This is the second piece of paper, okay? So there's no bread, crackers, or wraps, no white rice, no pasta, no white potatoes, no sweets, no desserts except for fresh fruit, no caloric beverages including alcohol. Sorry, guys. No artificial sweeteners of any kind. All this, I'm not going to name any brands, but no artificial sweeteners, whether they say it comes from a plant or not, or the trees or the sky, no artificial sweeteners. No cold cereals, oatmeal is okay. No eating after 9, and then in parentheses it says, or at least 2 hours before bedtime. I mean, you just feel better when you don't eat before bed. It just gives you a better quality of sleep, but that's up to you. I don't know what your schedule is. Maybe you work overnight and you can't do that. No cheese, dairy of any kind. No cheese, no yogurt, milk, or dairy of any kind. No animal-derived dairy, so at all. So if you want to have alternatives like vegan cheese or vegan yogurt, plant-based yogurt, what else? Plant-based milk, almond milk, things like that, you can, of course, have them in limited quantities, especially with the cheeses and the things, and the vegan products that have a lot of saturated fat. Saturated fat is saturated fat. Even if it comes from a plant-based source, you still have to watch those quantities and the amounts, because no one really needs saturated fat in their diet. It's really not good for us. So be careful with those packaged processed vegan products. Any packaged processed vegan product or non-vegan product is ideally not good for you and should be really used in very, very limited quantities. So I myself have experienced eating a processed vegan diet and a whole food plant-based vegan diet, and there's a huge difference in the way you feel, the way you look, the way your skin is, and your weight. Trust me. And the last thing here, two last things, no fried foods and no prepackaged snacks. And of course, it's without saying, no fast foods and all those wonderful things that people are addicted to. Those are not good for you. So this is the basic outline of the diet. I've gone over it previously, but this is for like my newer followers or whatever. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot, but the fan, it's just not working for me. It's working against me. So anyway, so the reason why I switched to the whole food plant-based diet is because when I started in December, I slowly started educating myself on a lot of things. I'm telling you, I went head first into researching all kinds of diet and all kinds of nutrition. I've always been interested in the topic of nutrition, but I really went full force into researching everything and taking all the materials that the doctor gave me and all the reading sources and all the books and titles and everything, and I really went and I ran with it. I signed up for webinars. I researched online. There is so much at your fingertips, so much research and so much that scientists have already done for us, that all we have to do is just search for it and research the reasons and the science and the research behind why plant-based foods are healthier for us than not. Again, I have many friends and family members that are not on a plant-based diet. They are not vegan. They don't eat whole food plant-based. And it's not an issue for me. I don't judge anybody's dietary choices at all. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in shaming anyone for what they choose to eat or do. Just the way that I wouldn't want to be judged or shamed on the things that I eat or do. So I am a very do what you want kind of person, and do what works for you. I don't think anyone should be judged for any of their dietary choices or anything really. So I'm not the kind of person that isolates myself from my friends or family just because our dietary choices are different. And I also I'm very open to still like going to social events and doing things and cooking and all that in a within a group setting, because I know what I can eat, I know what's good for me, and that's what I eat, and no one has a problem with that. Everyone's aware of it. And even if they weren't aware of it, my diet is really basic in the sense of fruits and vegetables are everywhere. I can eat them anywhere, and it's not something that's rare or that I can't find anywhere that I go. Any restaurant I go to will have fruit or vegetables. Any place that I choose to, any friend's house or event that I choose to go to, I'm pretty sure that they do have foods that I can eat. And honestly, if somewhere doesn't have something that I can eat, or I go to a restaurant that just doesn't have what I can eat, I just won't eat. It's not that big of a deal. I can still enjoy everyone's company. No one feels awkward if I'm not eating, and that's just the way that it is. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If it's whatever you make of it. If you feel weird eating differently than everyone else, then maybe that's something you have to look at and understand why, or why you feel the need to fit in, even if it doesn't work for you. I don't feel the need to fit in, especially when it comes to my diet and my exercise routine, because I'm doing what works for me, and I feel happiest when I'm doing this and doing things for myself and putting myself first. So I really don't care what anyone thinks in that sense. I really, really don't. So I urge you not to. When I was eating the way that this doctor had given me, like the plan, I would increase my vegetables dramatically. Even though I always loved vegetables, I loved all food, let's be serious. And fruits were never a problem, love them. Nuts are part of my diet. I eat those. I always ate beans. Literally, I did not discriminate on any food group, healthy or not healthy, my whole life. So it wasn't an issue for me to eat healthy food, because I loved healthy food and I loved non-healthy food. So I started eating a lot more vegetables, a lot more fruit. I was drinking a lot more water. I was eating nuts. I was eating everything that you can imagine. And in addition, I was still eating fish, eggs, and chicken. And then as the months went on, I dropped eggs, and I started to drop chicken. I started to not be able to eat those foods. I didn't find that I needed them. There was no room in my diet between all the other things that I was eating, and I no longer wanted those foods. So slowly, I just started eliminating them. And when I was transitioning from not eating, let's say, meat and dairy, and I was eating a lot of those plant-based substitutes for them, I needed that. It was kind of like a transition. Those are transition foods, I would call them, because like you can't necessarily incorporate them in your, I can't necessarily incorporate them in my diet every single day, because it just doesn't fit in with my goals at all. It doesn't fit in with my goals. It slows down my progress. They are good, and they definitely add a little bit of pizzazz to your routine. And if you ever feel the need to change things up, definitely do, and add those exciting foods in, so that you don't get bored and you don't go off the deep end or completely fall off track like I did. I went extremely restrictive on the plan that I was on, to the point where I was eating I was very, very, very strict with my diet, and I did that myself. It wasn't even something that was told to me to do by the doctor or anything. It was something I just basically took to an extreme, and I was very, very strict on myself, to the point where I burnt out. I completely got burned out on my diet. I completely got so bored. Everything, I just hit a wall. And then instead of just kind of taking 2 steps back and changing it up a little bit, I went completely reverse and I fell off track for several months until I felt so horrible in my body that I had no choice but to start making changes to feel good again and to feel healthy again. So no matter how bored you get from your diet, understand that your body functions a certain way when you eat junk versus when you eat healthy food. I've tested it. I've literally been my own walking experiment and walking like research, because I've done both ends of the spectrum when I've been completely unhealthy and when I've been healthy, and it's night and day to what I feel. So I am miserable, I'm unhappy, I'm sluggish, I'm broken out and disgusting. I'm not going to say I'm disgusting. You shouldn't describe yourself like that, but I feel disgusting on the inside and I feel just not like myself. When I ate a diet that was cleaner and healthier, my skin started improving, my complexion improved, my nails were stronger, my hair grew stronger, I felt better, I had more energy, I started losing weight, and honestly, I just feel like myself again, and that's the best feeling. And no taste of any food, the most delicious food you could think of that comes to mind right now, no taste of that food is worth me feeling terrible on the inside and on the outside about myself. So, I put things into perspective a little bit. I started understanding my relationship with food a little bit more, and I'll get into that in another video about my relationship to food and how I started to deal with that. But the whole food plant-based diet came very gradually. So December, when I started in 2017, I didn't go completely plant-based until April of 2018. And then I stayed pretty strong through with the diet until the end of August 2018, when I had become so restrictive with my diet that I completely went off the deep end, and I was eating anything and everything under the sun in unlimited quantities, and my body showed it. I definitely blew up and started gaining weight again, and I was very unhappy. So when I came back to reality and facing what I needed to face, I started really going into detail about what I need to do differently this time to not have the same result that I did last time. And what I did now, instead of having like an all or nothing approach to my diet, I'm kind of incorporating things that I love in small quantities. For example, the diet says clearly what I told you. It says no bread. I do not eat bread all the time. If I ever do want it, I will buy one package. Let's say I like to get the multi-grain sourdough bread from Trader Joe's, or the Ezekiel bread, or whatever floats your boat. I buy it one time. Let's say it's not a weekly buy, it's not a monthly buy even. It's whenever I want it. I buy it, it's in the freezer. I then take it out and use the 2 slices or 1 slice at a time, whatever I want. And when it's done, I don't buy another loaf of bread. I buy it whenever it is the next time that I want it. And it won't be so quick. It'll just be in very, very limited quantities. And the good thing about this approach is that the foods that I like to eat before don't necessarily become these things like that are so restricted that one day I go off the deep end and I'm at an all-you-can-eat bread buffet. So that's really the reason why I started incorporating some foods like that into my diet. 1, to keep things interesting, but 2, to really give myself the permission to be able to live the way that I can sustain, to live the way that I want to without having so much stress on what I can or cannot eat, and kind of being able to live and enjoy myself and still be healthy. So I did incorporate some of that. Or when I had eliminated the vegan cheeses altogether, I still don't eat that on a regular basis. Once in a blue moon, I definitely do. Or even the meat alternatives, like, the processed soy burgers, or, different burgers that are on the market now that are plant-based. I'll have that once in a while. Again, it's not part of my daily diet, but I fit it in there when I want it because it's part of an overall long-term sustainable plan that I worked out for myself. So when I eliminated chicken, fish, and eggs, it was because I truly did not like the taste of them anymore, and I didn't want them in my diet anymore. I had learned too much about what goes into the foods and what happens to our bodies as a result of it that I really became so turned off by those products. That was me. And I'm not saying that that has to be you. I'm just saying do your own research. You owe it to yourself to do your research to see what foods are benefiting your body and what aren't. I don't have an agenda. I'm not a dairy lobbyist. I don't work for the meat industry, and I don't work for the vegan industry or the whole food plant-based industry or community. I'm just talking to you from a perspective of someone who has been on both sides, eating meat and chicken and eggs and dairy and cheese. I love cheese. Anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love cheese. So I am speaking from someone who has eaten those foods, then did the research, became educated on the different nutritional aspects of what those foods really contain, and then made different decisions for myself and for my health, and that led me to a whole food plant-based diet. And when I say whole food plant-based diet, you have to really break down those words. Whole food plant-based diet means just that. I'm getting my nutrition from whole foods that are plant-based. They're not processed foods. They're not foods that have had their nutrition value stripped from them. They're not in a box. They're really beans, and they're plants, and they're things that grow, and they're just foods that we all know as healthy foods. Vegetables, fruits, beans, nuts, tofu, tempeh. These are foods that I eat. These are foods that I thrive on, and these are foods that I have grown to love. And I loved them before. I told you I was an equal opportunity food eater, but now I just eliminated the foods that don't benefit me nutritionally, and I am happier, and I feel good, and I've lost weight, and I feel more energetic. My skin is better. Everything's better now on this diet plan. I have found what works for me. I hope you find what works for you. This video has gotten a little too long. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.